Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Jamie Stamey, and I am the Director of Gift Planning here at Davidson. I am joined by my colleague, Carissa Clonch, who's our Digital Events Fellow this evening. And we are thrilled to have you and have the opportunity to welcome each of you for this session featuring Woody, Class of 79, and Sylvia Gordon Woodall, Class of 80, as well as James Gibert, Class of 79. So before we get started, I want to go over a few quick Zoom keeping items. If you have any questions for any of us, the presenters, at any time during the session, please share using the Q&A function. We will be looking at questions at various points during the presentation, and we will also have designated time at the end of the session. We will do our best to answer as many questions as possible, and that chat feature will not be available during this session. If you have any technical or other issues, please also post them in the Q&A function, and Carissa will be keeping an eye on those to make sure we get those questions answered throughout. We have enabled the live audio transcription for this session. If you would like to enable this on your end, you can click the Show Closed Caption or CC button on your screen, and subtitles should appear. Please note that the captions are not always accurate, especially with my Yankee accent, so we ask for grace and understanding with those. So now for our program. To quickly introduce myself, I have been at Davidson for just over 10 years now and moved into the Director of Gift Planning role in January of 2024. Working alongside gift officers, I support donors with estate gift planning and all of the non-cash gifts like IRA, real estate, and more. I want to jump right into our topic for the night, and that is giving through your estate. As advertised, I plan to make this a very beginner-level introduction to estate gifts, which are often referred to as deferred gifts, planned gifts, and sometimes even legacy gifts. However you label them, we're mainly talking about those gifts that will pass to a charitable organization such as Davidson at the end of life. These gifts vary greatly in size, and many find it surprising just how simple and impactful they can be. So here we have a general overview of what we plan to cover tonight. We're going to focus on some of the most common types of estate gifts, including bequests through wills and living trusts, beneficiary designations, IRA gifts, and life income gifts. From there, we'll talk about how estate gifts impact Davidson, a focus on the Class of 1979 scholarship, what the process looks like, and the free resources that we have available to support you as you consider this form of giving. So to get our wheels turning, we have invited a couple whom many of you know that have graciously decided to support future Wildcats with an estate gift. Sylvia, Class of 80, and Woody, Class of 79, met at Davidson. Both attended Davidson on academic scholarships, and they married in the DCPC chapel one day after Sylvia graduated. Sylvia acquired 2 master's degrees and spent years as a soccer mom and band mom, working in school libraries, community organizing, and grant writing. Woody acquired his MD and then board certification in 3 specialties, including family medicine, addiction medicine, and palliative medicine. In 2021, they were named Communitarians of the Year by their local United Way. Due to influences from their parents, their faith, and their Davidson experience, they have been active in annual giving locally, nationally, and internationally from the start of their life together. They share a love of learning and a passion for effective generosity, emphasizing meeting basic human needs while fostering development, education, and beauty. No wonder Davidson is their #1 educational recipient. Sylvia and Woody, thank you so much for joining us this evening to share a bit about why you chose to include Davidson in your estate plans. So I'm going to turn it over to you both now.
Well, glad to be here. Just let's do a check for everybody here. Okay, is that at that level?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. So I wrote down, I was trying to answer the question why a planned gift to Davidson. And I see from the attendance list, I don't really have to sell any of you on Davidson. But let me talk about why this legacy, and I've got 4 paragraphs I'll go through. First of all, Sylvia and I both represent the benefits of legacy giving in a couple of different ways. Our families were only able to avoid Davidson because of the academic scholarships that were available to us as children of either minister in my case or missionary in Sylvia's case. So these were families that had designated money for scholarships for that purpose. Now, we're not a Donald Trump legacy. We're a legacy that raised the average SAT scores of our respective incoming classes. But we're very grateful for what Davidson did to make that educational experience possible. My father was especially grateful because he was the first person in his family to graduate from college, growing up from a dairy farm in Benson, North Carolina. He actually worked his way through Davidson, and he never forgot the way the college elevated his intellectual life and opened up possibilities for him that he had not ever really considered. So it was giving to Davidson's almost genetic in my family because of that. He talked about that probably more than he talked about actually attending or sending me or my brother to attend. But Davidson did accept me from a fairly mediocre East Tennessee public high school. And part of that I blame on Sam Maloney, who was on the admissions committee and of course was from Knoxville area. The second thing that Davidson instilled in us was a sense of duty. You remember the French phrase, noblesse oblige, but you have to modify it because we're not talking about French royalty now. What we're talking about is Davidson royalty. We're talking about those of us who have been able to enjoy Davidson education, which, if you think about it, it's what, 1/10 of 1/10 or 1/50% of all college graduates in the country. But the idea, of course, is one must act in a fashion that conforms to the privileges one has earned. And for us, that means to give back and to pay forward. Probably the underlying theme for us, though, is generosity. And this may be our best reason at all. Generosity makes me happy. Effective generosity makes me positively delirious. Some of you are familiar with the research that indicates the happiest people on earth are not the residents of Disney World. They're habitually generous. Sylvia and I were shown this truth by our parents and have experienced this for ourselves. And since Davidson College is one of the most effective educational environments I know, we want to support them to continue letting learning be cherished. And finally, there's a niche reason for this that may actually affect some of you because you're in the same stage of life with your parents that we are. My father died a few years ago and left me an annuity. About 2 years ago, we made Davidson the beneficiary of that annuity. Voila, we are now in the Fine U Society. It did not cost us a dime out of pocket, and Davidson assisted with the transition with gratitude and skill. The process was painless and pleasant. So if you have an inherited annuity, inherited IRA, want to keep it going, or particularly if it's one that you inherited from a Davidson graduate, consider that. Sylvia, did you want to add?
Just that we did designate part of our gift to be contribution to the class of '79 scholarship. So that was a way to help that scholarship and go on for a long time.
Well, thank you, Woody and Sylvia, for sharing that story with us. We are so fortunate to have you both as such engaged members of the Davidson family, and that giving is an inspiration. And hearing a story from Davidson alums themselves is so much more poignant than just hearing it from me. I love this place. I'm extremely jealous that I'm not an alum myself. So thank you for sharing that story and giving that perspective. So there is a Greek proverb, which you may be familiar with, that is an excellent example of the impact of a planned gift. The proverb goes, "A society grows great when old men plant trees in whose shade they shall never sit." If we think of a planned gift as a seed that you plant during your lifetime, and then imagine that seed growing and the impact that each part of the tree makes, from the roots to the trunks to the branches and the leaves, you can start to understand how a decision now goes on to create a legacy for those that will come after you. There is a specific donor who always comes to mind when I think of this proverb. Last fall, we received a gift upon the passing of an alumna that was partially designated to the college's annual operating budget for planting blooming flowers. In November, hundreds of daffodil bulbs were planted across campus in spaces where we don't typically have flowers. And over the last few weeks, those flowers have bloomed, and all of campus and the town of Davidson now can enjoy the vibrant beauty and the excitement of new beginnings that spring blooms create. This gift will go on to beautify our campus season after season, enriching the experience of our community for years to come. And I feel like that story with that proverb really goes to illustrate how the lasting impact that planned gifts can make. So with that in mind, let's get started talking about some of the most common estate gifts and the benefits that you could see as a donor. Let's start off with bequests through wills and living trusts. A bequest is a gift of personal property given to an individual or charity upon one's passing. This property can be anything from monetary, like cash or securities, to tangible personal property, like artwork or antiques, to even real estate. Bequests are legally articulated through a person's will or living trust. A will, as most of us know, is a set of instructions for after death, and a living trust is an account that is funded by a person's assets while they are alive. A will typically goes through probate when a testator passes, while a living trust does not. Bequests are one of the most simple and well-known forms of planned giving. Since both wills and living trusts can be amended at any time, bequests are appealing because of the flexibility they offer to donors as they go through various seasons of life. When speaking of monetary bequests, the gift can be made for a specific amount, a percentage of your estate, or the remainder of your estate after all other provisions are met. Now, when we say bequests are simple to establish, we're talking about even just one small statement in your will or living trust. And here's an example. I give to the trustees of Davidson College X property for its unrestricted charitable use and purpose. Now, this statement could look different if you have a specific use for your gift in mind, and we'll talk about that more later in the session. There are multiple benefits of giving through a bequest. For one, these gifts can reduce the taxes your estate may be required to pay by lowering the overall value of your estate. Additionally, a gift of this nature truly creates a lasting legacy that will impact a charity like Davidson in significant ways. I think it's safe to say that beneficiary designations are one of the most maybe overlooked forms of giving through your estate. Consider these types of accounts: IRA and retirement plans, life insurance policies, donor advised funds, and commercial annuities. Especially with retirement and insurance, most folks typically think about individuals, oftentimes family members, when they think of who will get the remainder upon their deaths. However, it is so simple to add a charitable organization as a beneficiary. For someone like myself at this stage of life, it's a little hard to imagine being able to give a sizable outright gift. But when I think about my life insurance policy, it's not hard to imagine easily designating a portion to those nonprofits that I wish I could do more to support now. And the best part is I can change my mind at any time as the circumstances of my loved ones change throughout time. So again, this is a very simple gift to designate. Just contact your policy or plan administrator to request a change of beneficiary. Many providers like TIAA make this easy to do with just a few clicks online. Now, there are a variety of benefits to this form of giving as well. When giving to a charity, the entire amount is gifted and no taxes are withheld. Whereas if you gift this to an individual, there will be tax implications for that person. And just like with a bequest, it will reduce the value of your gross estate, possibly helping to alleviate those future estate taxes. So now let's move on to giving through your IRA. If you do not have an IRA, you could consider rolling funds over from a traditional retirement account, like a 403B or a 401k, to take advantage of the IRA charitable gift benefits. Of course, you'll want to consult a legal or tax advisor for advice before making those decisions. In addition to assigning a charitable organization as a beneficiary of an IRA, you can also consider giving through this account during your lifetime for current use funds. Giving in this way is often called an IRA charitable rollover or a qualified charitable distribution, a QCD. You may distribute up to $108,000 per year from an IRA to qualified charities. Now, that is per account. So if you and your partner have separate accounts, you can do that amount from each. If you are at least 70 and a half years old, a QCD can satisfy your required minimum distribution. Because the funds go directly to the charitable organization, as opposed to you and then the organization, you will pay no income taxes on your gift. Additionally, the gift will reduce your annual income level, which may help to lower your Medicare premiums and decrease the amount of Social Security that is subject to tax. With a QCD, you get the opportunity to enjoy seeing the difference your gift makes during your lifetime. Many organizations will provide regular reports on how your gift is impacting the organization, so you can really see that change during your life. If you have check writing capabilities, this can be as simple as writing a check to a qualified charity. Otherwise, contact your preferred charity and ask for instructions for transferring funds from your IRA. The last type of gift we are going to cover tonight are called life income gifts. These are the gifts that, quote, pay you back. We are going to focus specifically on charitable gift annuities and charitable remainder trusts. Now, charitable gift annuities, or CGAs, are the more simple of the two. And we say this because it does not require any legal involvement. It is a simple contract between a donor and the issuing charitable organization. In short, a charitable gift annuity offers guaranteed income for life to you and one other individual if you choose. So here's how it works. You make your gift to, let's say Davidson College. Based on your age, we will determine an annual payout rate that is locked in for the remainder of your life. That gift is invested by the college, and each year you will receive a fixed annuity payment. When you pass, the funds remaining are then given to the college and your gift is realized. Because of positive investment strategies, the residuum of these funds is often equal to, if not more than, the original amount you funded the gift annuity with. At Davidson, we require a minimum of $25,000 to fund a CGA. In theory, a charitable remainder trust is similar to a gift annuity in that the donor receives annual payments. In practice, there are some differences. Since this is a trust that identifies a trustee, legal involvement is required, and therefore there are more upfront costs to establishing a charitable remainder trust. Therefore, charitable remainder trusts are typically better option for larger estates. Additionally, you can choose to do payments for life or a maximum period of up to 20 years. And you have more flexibility in adding additional annuitants or payment recipients. There are two main types of charitable remainder trusts, the annuity trust and the unitrust. The difference here is whether you choose fixed yearly payments through the annuity trust or variable yearly payments based on fair market value. And here at Davidson, we require a minimum of $100,000 to fund a charitable remainder trust. The benefits of both of these are similar. With both, you may qualify for a charitable tax deduction of 30 to 60% of your adjusted gross income, depending on what assets you use to fund it. Now, these gifts can be funded with cash, IRA QCDs, or long-term appreciated assets like securities or even real estate. And when you fund with long-term appreciated assets, you can potentially avoid capital gains taxes. And so we do see that quite often as folks using those long-term appreciated assets for these types of gifts. So I'm going to pause here for just a second and take a look to see if we have any questions so far. All right. One question, I used the term current use when I was talking about the IRA qualified charitable distribution. Current use just means that money comes to Davidson now, and Davidson will actually start to use that money. Unless, of course, you choose to set up an endowed fund, then it would be invested for a year, and then the college would then begin to utilize the interest earned from that gift. So current use just meaning that it's a right now gift versus most planned gifts that are typically not received by the college until you pass. So thank you for that question. That's a good one. Okay, so let's keep moving on here. So I'm going to naturally transition to a little bit of why Davidson. I do just want to point out, though, that all of these types of planned gifts that I've talked about so far, most charitable organizations will offer these types of gifts or accept these types of gifts. So I hope you find this helpful, not only as you think about charitable giving to Davidson, but with other nonprofit organizations that you support throughout your life. So let's transition a little bit away from the technical aspects of giving through your estate and start focusing on the why and the how. A gift from your estate represents great affirmation of the college's purpose and your commitment to that purpose. Now, we all know the primary purpose of Davidson College is to assist students in developing humane instincts and disciplined and creative minds for lives of leadership and service. And your gift, your planned gift, will empower future Wildcats to lead and serve in an ever-changing world. As I mentioned previously, estate gifts impact Davidson in a variety of ways, depending on the type of gift you make. Monetary gifts are the most obvious. You might support a specific designation, like the Class of '79 scholarship, or fund that you are passionate about, like the Davidson Trust, or a specific academic program or athletics. Sometimes folks decide to make the gift for unrestricted purposes, allowing the college to decide how to best utilize the gift. Other times, we may find that you want to establish an entirely new fund to fill a gap that you see in the current Davidson experience. Now, gifts of tangible personal property and real estate can also have a meaningful impact. And trust me, we have seen all manner of gifts. Sometimes the donor's intent is for the gift to remain here on campus, like gifts of art, which enhance our collection for the enjoyment of students, employees, and campus visitors. Other times, donors understand the college will sell the property and the funds can then be designated to a preferred area, just like with other monetary gifts. Including Davidson in your legacy allows us to look to the future and know that we can continue to offer this robust academic experience for generations to come. So we would be remiss if we did not take this opportunity to talk about the amazing work that the class of 1979 has been doing to provide impactful support to students. For this, I'd like to introduce you to your classmate and former Davidson College development team member, James Gibert. A history major while at Davidson, James achieved his greatest notoriety as a member of Davidson's College Bowl quiz team, which defeated Harvard in the 1979 national championship. After graduation from Davidson, James studied history at the University of Virginia and the University of Cambridge in England, followed by law school at Emory. After 3 years of general law practice in Charlotte, James came to work here at Davidson in 1998 as the college's second ever major gift officer. Over the next several years, his focus changed gradually into planned giving and eventually into the positions of Director of Planned Giving and Senior Planned Giving Counsel. In total, he spent 26 years doing development work here at Davidson and retired from the college in 2014. Later that same year, he became Director of Planned Giving at Brandeis University in Metro Boston, where he stayed until late 2018. He and his wife, Anne Schaefer Gibert, I almost said it. I almost did the French pronunciation, James. He and his wife, Anne, class of '81, now live in Lenoir, North Carolina, where she is a Methodist pastor. He has been on the class of 1979 scholarship committee for several years, serving as finance subcommittee chair, and is now in the first of 2 years as committee chair. James, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'll turn it over to you now to talk a bit about the class of '79 scholarship.
Thank you, Jamie. For those of you who were at our reunion in June, a lot of this will not be new, but I realize there are maybe some of you who have not heard all of this before, so I apologize for the repetition. I do have some updates to give you. But the class of 1979 scholarship, it was started I believe it began in 2014. Where we are now is that we have raised enough money, thanks to the generosity mostly of members of our class, but also some spouses of members of our class, so that we now have 4 scholars on campus at any given time, 1 from each entering class, and the scholarship lasts through their entire Davidson career. Since the scholarship began, we have been able to actually increase the annual awards from the scholarship to $15,000 per year. I should say a maximum of $15,000 a year. A lot of our scholarship recipients receive multiple scholarships from various funds at Davidson. So the actual amounts vary, but $15,000 per year is what we can provide if necessary. Also, the students have a chance to apply for a one-time internship or experiential program award. And those vary in size depending on what they're doing, if they're going abroad or going to work for a nonprofit somewhere in this country and need living expenses or whatever. But those one-time awards can amount to $5,000 to $6,000, as much as $5,000 to $6,000. Now, this is all supported by the endowment of the scholarship. Now, as of the end of the calendar year, which is the key year in determining how much the endowment provides and is in awardable funds, as of the end of the calendar year, there is now $1,797,196 in the endowment. Now, part of that covers the tuition and fee portion. Part of it does cover the experiential portion. Now we have available $94,910 available in 2025-26. There will be another endowment draw before then. So we actually have more expendable money than we need. Now, going forward, what we would like to do is focus on increasing the size of the endowment. Jamie, if I could have the next slide, please. Now, we're very hopeful. When I say we, I mean the college and the members of the scholarship committee. We are very, very hopeful about our ability to do this. Over 54% of our class have made a gift to the scholarship at one time or another. I don't know the total amount that has been given. Some of it went to the endowment, some of it went to the expendable portion of the scholarship. But quite frankly, the people who do development work at Davidson have been amazed at our success with this. You know, doing it for 26 years, I certainly never saw a class do anything remotely like this in scale or in number of participants. And that's holding true today. Many, many people in our class, an average of 67 over a number of years, give the scholarship every year. Now, where we would like to focus for the purposes of this conversation tonight is where we want to go in the future. And that is, a lot of it is going to be through planned gifts. Looking ahead to our 50th reunion, the scholarship committee has discussed this a lot. And we think that if we can reach a total of $8 million in endowment and commitments to the scholarship, that will let us begin making awards, once all of that's received, to students that are approaching the value of a full tuition, Davidson's full tuition, which would be a great, great gift to them. Now, obviously we have some time before the 50th reunion, but to date, we have received 6 documented planned gifts. Now, by documented, I mean that we know that somebody has told us we're in your will or living trust, or you've established a charitable gift annuity or whatever, of $1.5 million and change. Again, that's unprecedented for any class scholarship that I know about. 2 additional people have also made planned gifts commitments, but for whatever reason, we're not comfortable revealing the amount. And that's fine. The college keeps all of this confidential. So one thing I'd like to assure you about is whatever you do in the way of a planned gift, of course, the college staff will know. But unless you permit it, like Sylvia and Woody just did, it won't be shared with anybody else. So if you're concerned about maintaining your privacy, you can certainly do that. Another thing I would like to mention, and this is one where I draw on my experience doing planned giving for Davidson, is a lot of people don't feel comfortable telling the college at all that you're in your will or estate plan, which is also fine. The advantage of revealing, opening the kimono, if you will, and telling us that you're doing something and or the amount of what you're doing is that it lets us count it toward giving totals like our 50th reunion gift total. So anything you choose to do between now and our 50th will count toward that 50th reunion gift total. So that is something I would like to plant in your mind. Even if you are not comfortable telling Davidson about it, please communicate with the staff and let them know you're doing something. Because that's very important information for Davidson planning going forward. Another point I'd like to make is, and Sylvia and Woody again have already alluded to this, is that it's possible to make a gift to Davidson and designate part of it toward the scholarship, but part of it toward whatever else you care about at Davidson, to a particular department or the Davidson Athletic Foundation or music department or whatever. Now that you can do that without necessarily changing the legal documents which actually make the gift effective. Davidson has always had a policy of honoring written expressions of intent from donors. So don't feel like you need to go to your lawyer and change the wording if you will, because you want to make a gift to the class of 1979 scholarship. You can just drop Jamie a note and say, whether you mention the amount or not, you can just tell her part of my estate or trust or whatever it is going to the class of 79 scholarship. I'd like to conclude by pointing out that the total of that we have in endowed funds and future commitments is just over $3.4 million. So that is a higher figure than we had, or that I was able to announce at the reunion, because we have gotten some very nice planned gifts and of course outright gifts as well to the scholarship since then. So if we are to reach our $8 million hoped for objective for the scholarship by our 50th, we can do that. And there's no tactful way to put this, but what we are looking to raise between now and the reunion is commitments. You don't need to die to make this a reality. So I hope that you will give some thought to this. If you're in touch with members of our class or other friends who might be interested, please help spread the word. If you're interested in joining the scholarship committee, we are always looking for new members, and you can serve as a mentor. You can, excuse me, there are multiple roles you can play with the committee. So please think about doing that as well, whether or not you're in a position to make a big planned gift. If you do have any questions about the scholarship, I would suggest you get those to Jamie, and she or some other member of the staff might be able to answer them themselves. If not, those of us on the committee will be happy to chime in. So thank you for your time and consideration. And since most of you are probably in the group that have already done something for the scholarship, thank you for doing that. And I know we all look forward to announcing even bigger and better things at our 50th reunion. So take care.
Thank you, James, for all that information. And having spent the first 9 years of my career here at Davidson, I was able to work directly with some of the recipients of the class scholarship through the Matthews Center for Career Development, which works with them on those summer experiences, the internships and the research experiences. And I can attest to the fact that there's no other class providing an opportunity like this. And it's been a true pleasure to work with members of your class, to see that fund established, but then also to just see the impact that has had on students so far. And I can't wait to see how it impacts future students as well. We are really grateful for the amazing work that your class has done to create this scholarship. So kind of just to get us to the wrap up of this, once you make a decision, if you make a decision to include Davidson in your estate plans, or to consider an IRA, QCD, any of the options that we've talked about this evening, as James mentioned, we surely appreciate you sharing just some of the basic information with us, but all of it is optional. We respect your wishes on privacy or keeping some of this information to yourself till a later date. So I'm just going to share a little bit about what information is helpful to us, and why it's helpful to us. So when you document your estate gift, which is really simple, it's just letting us know, I have Davidson included in my will or living trust. We have a very simple form that we can send to you. But when you tell us about your plans, it allows us a couple of things: to understand how you would like your legacy to impact Davidson College. So as we've talked about, how do you want to designate the funds? What fund do you want to support? Do you want to establish something new? So on. It allows us to steward you appropriately through your lifetime. So Woody mentioned the FINU Society membership, and that is our society specifically for Davidson plan givers. So those people who have included Davidson in their estate plans, it's a specific society, and it allows us through that society to really give you the thanks that you deserve throughout your lifetime, allowing us to keep you informed on what's happening here at Davidson, be a liaison to you as you continue your relationship with Davidson, and to thank you for that gift. But also it allows us to financially prepare for the future. Now, while we've been talking about designations like the Class of 79 scholarship, you do not have to have a firm decision on how you would like your gift to be used when you document your intentions. So my office, as well as any gift officer here on campus, can support you in learning about programming, plans, and needs all across campus that will fit with your areas of interest. So if you are inspired as we approach your 50th reunion to think about including Davidson in your estate, just know that you don't have to have it all figured out. We can definitely continue to work with you to help you figure out what is the best designation or designations, as James mentioned, to point your gift towards. Now, we have a very simple process for documenting your estate gift. You can reach out to my office, the Office of Gift Planning, or if you've already been working with a gift officer, someone from the development team, any of us can help you fill out this intention form. It's very simple. And so work with the people that you're already comfortable working with, or feel free to reach out to myself. So there are a few additional perks to letting us know about your future estate gift. We've talked a little bit about reunion already, but just as a reminder, if you are an alum, planned gifts do count towards your reunion year class gift. Any new planned gift made between your 45th reunion last year and your upcoming 50th, as well as any planned gift made prior to your 45th, will be celebrated again at your 50th reunion. And so we very much appreciate knowing about your gifts so that we can celebrate you. And additionally, I mentioned the FINU Society, which includes invitations to special events throughout the year, a biannual newsletter created by my office, and some additional perks as well. So if this presentation has piqued your interest and you are looking for more information, we have some great free resources available to you. First and foremost, we will be sending the recording of this session out to you probably tomorrow. So if there's anything you'd like to refer back to, or if you'd like to share with your friends and fellow alums, feel free to do so. But as I mentioned, any of our gift officers can help you get started. But my colleague, Dawn Smith, who's the Assistant Director for Gift Planning, and I are both available for conversations. We can create gift illustrations. So if you're thinking about one of those charitable gift annuities, we can run you some samples to see what would that interest rate looks like, what would that annuity payment look like, and so on. So we can provide you with much more detailed information based on your specific situation. Our website, giftplanning.davidson.edu, also has a significant amount of information. There's a variety of downloadable guides. There are online calculators. If you like to play with the numbers yourself to see those rates, you are welcome to do so. Here you'll find in-depth information, sample scenarios, even donor and student stories that may help you with your decision-making process. So that wraps up everything that we have for you this evening. I'll give a minute if anyone has any additional questions to throw in the chat or the Q&A function. Please feel free to do so now. I'll give that a few seconds to see if anything pops up. All right, not seeing any more questions come through. So again, please utilize my contact information as well as Dawn's on this slide if you think of questions after this evening. So as we wrap everything up, I just would like to say thank you to Woody, Sylvia, and James for taking time to speak with us today. Follow-up email will be sent in the next few days with contact information and some other helpful information. Please note that this event was recorded and we will make it available for anyone. It will go on the College Relations YouTube channel within a few days, so you'll have access to it at any point in addition to the email link we send. So finally, thanks to all of you for joining us this evening. We hope this session has given you much to think about, and I hope you all have a great evening. Thank you for joining us.